We are back. We are back. What is up, everybody? Week 0 preview in the books. We are talking top Eagles prospects to watch, game of the week, predictions, and more, with a lot more segments and gambling and bets and things like that. Joining me as always, he's Ryan Reese at Philly Sports PSA. What's up, Ryan?
Not much, man. I'm glad we are finally here. We're getting some real football. And again, week 0 to me is always kind of that tease. Then they throw maybe a halfway decent game for you. But again, just to kind of wet that whistle. But I'm all in, and I cannot wait to watch this game.
Dude, it's the 12-team college football playoff. I think it's going to be an amazing year of really quality teams, some really fun Heisman storylines. We're going to break it down, but our first segment of the day, we're going to talk about our game of the week. This one's a no-brainer. It's week 0. There's not a lot of games,
Sure.
unlike week 1, which we were just talking about behind the scenes, which is absolutely loaded. But let's get into our game of the week for college football week 0. Here we go. Game of the week, Florida State versus Georgia Tech. Of course it is, in Ireland. My gosh, this is a game that has destroyed my head over the last 24 hours. Who I'm going to pick, predict, all that kind of fun stuff. There's so much to unpack in this game. You look at the favorites right now. I think it's 11.5 on the side of Florida State. I'm not there, Ryan. I'm not there at all. Do you have any quick thoughts about this game? Because I have so many notes.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think Florida State, coming off the disappointment of last year, ACC champs, they were right there. They should have been in the playoffs. They were snubbed. Now that we have the 12-man playoff team, which they obviously would have made it. So they would have made it. But I think I would think more of Florida State coming off that year, coming off that disappointment, being a little pissed off, playing pissed off, but they lost a lot of guys. They lost a lot, there's a lot of turnover in this team. And, there's a lot to be said that they have to prove. Even though they are ACC champs, they still have a lot of new faces out there. And, Georgia Tech, as you were saying earlier, beforehand, they're pretty much bringing back every single person. So that consistency, has to go somewhere. I do still lean Florida State in all of this, but I think it's going to be extremely close. And the fact that they're playing in Dublin, Ireland, so freaking cool. Absolutely love that. So yeah, no, I agree. I think I'm not there at 11.5. That's for sure. I think it's going to be a very close game.
Yeah, we'll talk about that at the end of the show. But if you were to tell me that college football will be starting in Ireland and you have the NFL season starting in Brazil and we have a 12-team playoff, man, it's just incredible how far college football has come. But yeah, let's get into my preview here. I've got a lot to talk about, and I think it really boils down to what you believe in DJU.
Wait, can I say it?
Absolutely, go for it.
DJ Uiagalelei.
There it is. Yeah,
did it.
This is going to be the talking point of the season, starting with Florida State. The revenge tour starts this week. The Jordan Travis injury, which basically knocked them out of the college football playoff. They're looking to bounce back in a big way, leading with a matchup against Georgia Tech. In comes DJU from Oregon State, who had arguably the best offensive line in college football last year. You look at the losses: Keon Coleman, Trey Benson, Johnny Wilson, Jaheim Bell. But you look at Mike Norvell and Florida State, they have reloaded in the transfer portal this offseason. And DJU, it's how much you believe in this guy to hit the ground running for Florida State. He's got a lot of inconsistency. He only has a 59% completion percentage. And on defense, the Seminoles were elite, led by Jared Verse, 11th in the nation in pass defense, 6th in third down defense. They allowed just 19.3 points per game. In comes Patrick Pyton, who is every bit the star of Jared Verse was. And I think we're going to talk about Patrick Pyton in just a little bit, but there are two more guys on this Seminoles defense I want to talk about that are being slept on. Edge rusher Marvin Jones Jr., a transfer from the Georgia Bulldogs, and cornerback Fentrell Cypress, the second, broke up 8 passes last year, really solid. Jones Jr. didn't have a lot of production. He was a major recruit for the Bulldogs, just 16 tackles with 2 sacks and 5.5 tackles for loss in his 2 years with the Georgia Bulldogs. I think he's a breakout candidate. I think it boils down to don't expect Jordan Travis numbers out of DJU. I think Mark Norvell is going to change this offense for the better, probably rely more on the run game, a lot more design runs with DJU. He's got a ton of arm strength. He's got a lot of overthrows and miscommunication with his receivers. That is Florida State. And you get to the Georgia Tech side. Don't sleep on these guys, Ryan. Like in 2023, they took down Drake May's Tar Heels. They took down the Miami Hurricanes. They only lost by a single score to the Georgia Bulldogs. They had some bad losses, but they led the ACC in rushing and sacks allowed last year. The offensive line should be one of the biggest strengths. They've got 4 starters back. All 5 starters are 6'4" or bigger, over 300 pounds. All juniors are older. There's a lot to like about this Georgia Tech team. And I'm really curious how this game plays out. And if the Yellow Jackets have any chance of taking down the Florida State Seminoles, it starts in the trenches. It starts with their offensive line, keeping pressure off of Haynes King, who we're going to talk about in just a minute. He's a dual threat quarterback, nearly had 700 yards on the ground last year. Right. Florida State, I am running contain and unleashing hell on Haynes King all day long. He's turnover prone. He had like 16 picks last year. And I think that's the storyline. So I think the biggest question is how Georgia Tech's run defense holds up against the FSU run game. I think how much do you believe in DJU? This game is way more even than Vegas wants to tell you.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and you said it right there with Haynes King, and I think the game is going to be relied on multiple Haynes. Don't forget Jamal Haynes, the running back that was wide receiver, switched over to a running back and earned himself all ACC honors, 3rd team, I believe. But he led Georgia Tech with 1,059 rushing yards, 7 rushing touchdowns, and 6 yards per carry. Honestly, I think with the two of them, with Haynes King, his run ability, he was one of 2 quarterbacks in the nation with 2,700 yards, 600 rushing yards, and 25 touchdown passes and 5 touchdown runs this season. The only other guy? Yeah, I don't know if you've heard of him. Jaden Daniels, Heisman. But the other guy is Haynes King. So you're absolutely right. This Georgia Tech offense is kind of scary good. And again, they're all coming back. They're all, they were, as you said, they surprised a lot of teams. And I think they're going to continue to do a really good job. And I think this game is going to be real close.
I can't wait. It's going to be fun. My only problem with this game is I think it starts at noon, and then you have the Eagles preseason game at 1 on Saturday. That's a problem. That's a big problem. So I'll have the back cave set up to watch both games.
Yeah, exactly. Double screening it. Absolutely.
Yeah. I can't wait. It should be a lot of fun. We'll get into predictions in just a little bit. But for now, do you have anything else you want to add on that game?
No, it's just this is definitely going to be the game to watch in Week 0. Dublin, Ireland. 2 ACC teams battling it out. What more do you need?
Yep. All right, let's roll into our favorite Eagles draft targets to watch in Week 0. Eagles draft targets. I'm just giddy that we're actually finally here talking about it. I'm so excited. I'll lead us off. Obviously, the main event is Florida State versus Georgia Tech, led by Patrick Pyton. Patrick Pyton is arguably a top 5 edge rusher in this draft. An absolute stud, 6'5", 254 pounds, superb in 2023. This guy is clutch. He's got ice for vein in his veins, and he is arguably already a star among non-casuals. But I love the fact that this is in Ireland, for the fact that he's no longer in Jared versus Shadow. Now is the time for Patrick Pyton to really be the star of college football. He had 43 tackles, 7 sacks, 9 passes batted in 2023. Way more disruptive than those numbers indicate. And I think he's a possible first-round pick in 2025. He had 32 hurries at the line of scrimmage as well. During spring practices, you look at his height and weight. He added 15 pounds of muscle to his frame. He's got 12 sacks over the last 2 years, man. I am just so excited for Patrick Pyton to assert himself as one of the best players in college football. And if you look at that matchup against Georgia Tech, he's arguably the biggest X factor when it comes to beating Georgia Tech. It is Patrick Pyton versus Haynes King. Can they get Haynes King rattled and force him to turn over the ball? Again, he had 16 interceptions last year. I can't wait to watch it. Patrick Pyton is easily number 1.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there is a big drop when it comes to the prospects for this week 0, and yeah, Pyton. Jeez, I mean, he is. I absolutely love him. And yeah, I think coming from Jared Verse to him, it's just kind of an embarrassment of riches at that position for Florida State. Yeah, he is going to be a fun one to watch. That's for sure. That is for sure.
Do you have anybody else to name, or I've got a few more?
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's not a lot. Like, obviously, again, it's so early. I haven't really gotten too deep cuts into my prospect watching, but I know you certainly have. I know you have already talked about a few. So please, by all means, grab us a couple.
All right, let's start with the guy that I think you should be watching on Saturday, and it's for SMU. It is RJ Maryland. He's a tight end. He's a very good athlete. 6'4", about like 233 pounds. Very good length. He's explosive. He's agile. Really good bend. Very good route runner. Major run after the catch threat, Ryan. I know he's one of your dudes. He's got a ton of alignment versatility. He's lined up out wide, in the slot, H-back, off motion. He needs to be a better blocker. He's a day 3 guy at this point in time. He's as we just did our tight end show. So he would be probably 12, 13, 14 in our top 10 tight end rankings. But he's got a lot of upside, man. I see this guy as a weapon in the slot at the next level. He can punish defenses due to his upside in the as a vertical threat. Absolute tight end 2 potential. RJ Maryland, Ryan, keep an eye out for him.
I will have to. I was completely unaware of him. So, I love that.
I've got a couple more. As we know, this is an Eagles-centric show. So I'm going to throw out another guy, and that is Elijah Roberts out of SMU. Absolute elite production. 71 pressures on 383 pass rushing snaps last year. Just crazy. He had 10 sacks, 13th most in college football last year. And he was a former Miami transfer, helped form the SMU Mustangs into a top 10 defense. And I see this guy as a day 3 guy, probably a guy that blows up during the Senior Bowl. But keep an eye out for Elijah Roberts.
Nice.
The other guy I want to throw a shout out to, going back to Florida State, and that is Darius Washington. 6'4", doesn't have elite size, but I think if you had to name an X factor for the Florida State offense, it has to be Darius Washington. If DJ SMU is going to be successful, it starts with protecting him. And I think Darius Washington for the Seminoles could become a household name in 2024. He's got a lot of upside. He's got great versatility. He's got experience playing offensive tackle, playing guard, playing center on the offensive line. Keep an eye out for Darius Washington as well.
Yeah, I do actually have one person, and that is from Florida State. It's cornerback Fentrell Cypress II. I completely forgot that I kind of looked into this guy a bit. He started at Virginia, transferred over to Florida State. His lone year at Florida State, started all 14 games. 40 tackles, couple tackles for loss, 8 pass breakups, forced fumble, forced recovery, earning himself an honorable mention for all ACC honors. But he's a guy that I feel like, again, definitely day 3 guy. But considering the fact that we seem to be getting a lot younger in our defensive backfield, I think this guy would be a great addition kind of late, depending on how our cornerback room kind of shakes out. Again, this may be the last year of Slay. It looks like we're moving on from Bradbury. Avonte Maddox, maybe not. And we're still going to get rid of some of these other young guys. So he might be a guy that could kind of come in and replace whichever player that we end up losing, given how the roster shakes out this year.
Good one. Some more names. Justin Osborne out of SMU. He's moving to center this season. Another guy that has a ton of versatility. Keep an eye out for Justin Osborne for the SMU Mustangs. And Stephen McBride out of Hawaii, a possession receiver, a guy that mainly will be out on the outside, doesn't have the twitch, doesn't have the athleticism to be in the slot, but definitely a name to watch out for. He could put up some crazy, crazy numbers. Let's get into our next segment of the day, and this is our first one. We're working on this. Yeah. Player of the week. This is going to be a fun one where we pick who has the most yards and best day between Ryan and myself. Here we go. Player of the week predictions, Ryan. Where you going, man? I'll let you go first.
I practiced his name earlier, and I'm gonna say it again.
Really? Okay.
It's DJ Uiagalelei. Listen, Florida State has an opportunity against this Georgia Tech team to assert their dominance in the ACC, in the nation, because again, Georgia Tech is not a slouch, but they're more of an offensive team. So I feel like, DJU can certainly go ahead and, light up that Georgia Tech defense on the national stage in Dublin. And like I said, really kind of, again, I think they want to make a statement, Florida State, considering how everything ended last year. And listen, I am a big fan of DJU. I think, he's going to be better at the quarterback position than they were last year. And I just think Florida State's going to be a team to stay in the national spotlight, and it's going to be big time for him. So
I'm just so curious how the Florida State offense changes in 2024.
Sure.
Like they threw a ton of hero balls, like contested catches to Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson. They would just throw the ball up on the outside to the sideline, and they would bring it down.
They lost 2 great wide receivers. They lost a great tight end. They lost a couple offensive. I got it. Like it is going to be a new thing, but new doesn't always mean bad. New could be special.
I like it. All right. I'm going. Again, so the rules of this game is we can't make repeats. So you can't pick DJU the rest of the season.
Never again. Yes.
All right. So I'm going to go with SMU, a team I probably won't go with the rest of the year. And give me a guy in Preston Stone. Preston Stone is a dual threat quarterback for the Mustangs. He's a guy that is recovering from a season-ending broken left fibula late last year against Navy. You look at SMU, they are making their ACC debut this season. Obviously, major shift in competition this year, but Preston Stone's a major playmaker, man. He ranked top 15 nationally in passer rating, passing touchdowns, and yards per attempt. This is more so about the competition. Nevada, the Wolfpack, man, are under new management this year. They gave up an average of nearly 450 yards per game on defense. They gave up 33 plus points per game. That they also lost two of their best defenders who were really solid for them. So give me Preston Stone at just hoping that he puts up some monster numbers.
Yeah, listen, you're smart to pick that. That Nevada defense is pretty trash. And yeah, you hope that Stone is ready to play, fully healed, all that. And yeah, has an opportunity to put up some gaudy numbers, and you need the win too.
Yep. I love that, just adding salt to the wound right there. It's so true though. You're not wrong. All right, let's get into our picks of the week. All right, picks of the week. This is going to be a little bit of a different format in week 0. The way this is going to work moving forward is I'm going to pick 3 games, the winner, and then Ryan's going to pick 3 different games and pick winners as well. But since it's week 0, there aren't a lot of games to really throw out.
Right.
So we just picked on the 3 biggest games. That's FSU versus GT, SMU at Nevada, and Delaware State at Hawaii. So this will change next week. But anyway, Ryan, Florida State at Georgia Tech. Who are you going with?
Listen, I think we both called this a lot closer of a game, but to me, I really think Florida State needs to come out, make a statement to not only the ACC, to the world, to the playoff committee that we're still here. We deserve to be in there last year, and we're definitely getting in this year.
This game screams slugfest. This game screams I feel like 1 or 2 plays are going to be the difference in this one. And at the end of the day, I'm not a big DJU guy, but I'm also not really high on Georgia Tech's run defense. And I think Florida State has some really interesting names at running back. They've got Lawrence Tuafili. They've got a transfer out of Alabama named Roydale Williams. And I think one of or 2 of those guys are going to break out some big yardage. That's going to be the difference in this one. I see this game as like a 27-24 type of game. So I'm going to go Florida State, and Georgia Tech covers, and it's going to be a really great game. So
if we're batting this one with the 11.5, I'm going Georgia Tech.
Yep. All right, SMU at Nevada.
Listen, you said everything you needed to say about that Wolfpack defense. SMU is going to trounce all over these guys in a big, big win. It's SMU. And you know what's funny? I always forget that SMU is in the ACC.
This is their first year.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like, I forgot they had moved. So, like, I kept seeing that. I was like, wait a minute. What did they do?
Yeah.
And I'm like, Oh, that's right. They're in the ACC.
They're one of the better transfers in a long time. Like SMU, obviously the competition in the ACC is going to be so much different.
Oh yeah,
They're loaded. Like they've got a really good team that they should probably finish with like 8 wins. I would not be surprised at all.
yeah, which is pretty good for coming into a pretty nice ACC division.
It is. The ACC is really solid this year. I think it's sneaky solid. Yeah. And then we get to Delaware State of Hawaii, who just wrap it up. Hawaii.
Yeah. Listen, if Hawaii doesn't score 70 points here, it'll be a shame.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's no differences between us. But again, that'll change in week 1 where we cannot pick the same school.
Right.
But I'm right there with you. I'm not going to lie, Ryan. As I said at the start of the show, I really wanted to go Georgia Tech. But I feel like talent will eventually win. I feel like this game is going to be close, like through 3 quarters. And then Florida State just eventually.
I can definitely see that. And like I said, Georgia Tech is kind of one of those like the little brother syndromes where like, man, they're right there. Every once in a while they'll get you, but
not there yet.
Not there yet. Yeah, exactly.
All right. And I think Mike Norvell is just too good of a head coach. And I think there's just too much of a chip on the shoulder for the Seminoles to do it. All right, Ryan, let's wrap it up. Final thoughts, plugs, time's up.
My final thought is that I'm proud that I can say DJ Ui Agalile. I could die happy now. I'll put that on my resume. Yeah, listen, we're so excited for this show. Moving forward, talking about each week. Now that we're actually talking about real football. So next week we can actually talk about football and what happened in this game. And yeah, it'll be absolutely great. We'll get this thing rolling. So please stay with us, invest with us, give us your players of the week, give us your picks, like all that kind of stuff. Do it along with us. That makes it so much better for us. So we appreciate those that do, those that comment, and those that follow this show. So please stay with us as this college football season unfolds.
Yeah. Guys, if you're a Georgia Tech fan and you're watching, let me know down in the comment section why Georgia Tech will beat Florida State. I'm why, like, I really want to say Georgia Tech and start off this season with the upset. I think it's one of the better.
It would be cool. Yeah.
I honestly think it's a real upset. Like, I honestly think there's real chances on neutral ground. But I'm gonna go coaches win. At the end of the day, Mike Norvell figures it out by the fourth quarter. So I think it's gonna be a great game. I think it's going to be one of the better week 0 games in recent history.
Well, that's the thing. I'm glad we actually finally have something that's worthy of watching. Like, usually you have the Hawaii versus Delaware States matchups, to be like, oh well, this is fun. That's basically like watching preseason football.
Yeah.
In the fourth quarter. Yeah. Like, okay, well, you're a sicko if you're still watching, or you're looking for something specific. So, or you go to Delaware State.
Yeah. All right. So that wraps it up here. We'll be back tomorrow. Ryan's got Football Smack Talk show at 6:00 East Coast time, talking everything Philadelphia Eagles. And then, of course, another show, Party on Broad, will be 9:00. We've got all 22 videos. By the way, Ryan, if you want to use those, please feel free to use the all 22 videos that are down in there in StreamYard. Yeah, go check it out. and we also will be doing Birds of the Round Table. What's happening?
Sorry, hit the wrong button.
Tuesday at 8:00. We'll be talking more Eagles preview, Eagles versus Vikings, stock watch, all that kind of stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then on Wednesday, I'll be joining a Commanders show. So keep an eye out. I'll plug some of that stuff out.
Sweet.
So
yeah, we'll have comments for you and fight for you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, we're not going to be talking Sixers for at least a few weeks because I've been getting a lot of messages about my thoughts on the new edition. But I promise you, we'll be talking about that in like a month or so. But this is all football time, and we'll get there when we get there. So one last time at Philly Sports PSA for Ryan. I am Daz, Mr. Crockpot. Happy birthday to your son, man.
Oh,
That's
thank you.
my final
Yes.
thought.
Happy birthday, Ronan. And as soon as we're done here, we're going to go open some presents.
That's
Can't
awesome,
wait.
man. Enjoy it, man. I
Thanks.
just I like that thought process scares the hell out of me. It's scary. It's scary.
Nothing you can do to stop it either. It's coming.
I'm kidding.
It's like
My
a
daughter is going to
moving train.
kindergarten in 1 week, and it destroys me.
I know.
So
Oh, I know. He's turning 8 today and going into 3rd grade next week as well. And it's awful. I hate it. Slow down.
I hate it. I hate it. Yeah. Ryan Reese, I am Dobbs. We'll see you next Sunday. Time to be determined. There's no Eagles game, so we're pretty free to kind of. It's going to be flexible depending on the Eagles games and things like that. So, thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you next Sunday to recap week 0 as well as preview week 1, which is loaded with amazing games. So
I mean, the toughest part to pick my damn games and game of the week.
Yeah, it's gonna be really fun. Yeah, we're gonna have a side chat about that.
Yeah, we are.
Oh no, is game of the week is definitely.
Oh, is it definitely
Georgia Clemson?
I haven't looked at it in a while, but
I think it's either Georgia Clemson or Notre Dame Texas A&M. That's just off the top of my
head. I think I keep getting week 2 confused, or maybe it's 3. There's one week that's like there's like 10 matchups. You're like, Jesus. But well, yeah, we'll figure it out.
Week 2 is Michigan and Texas.
Oh, maybe that's a good. That's a good matchup.
That's insane. Oh my God. So again, it's going to be a really fun college football season. Happy birthday, Ronan. Nothing but the best. Slow down a little bit. That's my only recommendation. For Ryan, for myself, stay awesome, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Go Birds.